Hi, this is Natalie. Thank you for listening to Crossroads Church, where we are bringing a real God to real people. I believe you'll be inspired by today's message.
Good morning, Crossroads Church. I hope you are doing well, staying warm. I'm not a huge fan of this cold, but I know some of you are. Jeremiah, he loves this kind of stuff. Whenever it gets this cold, I'm reminded of one of my favorite jokes. A guy moves up north from Texas, and it's super cold outside, and he sees these people out ice fishing, and he goes, I need to get into ice fishing. So he buys some supplies, and he goes out there, cuts a hole in the ice, and starts fishing, and just nothing. He's just sitting out there freezing, and another guy pulls up and drills a hole in the ice just a few feet from him, and bam, drops the worm in there and pulls out a fish. And the guy's like, what in the world? He's only a few feet from me. How's he getting all these fish? The guy drops another worm in there, pulls out another fish. So the new guy to this, the Texan, he turns to the guy and he's like, hey, what's the secret, man? What am I not doing right? And the guy from up north goes, Texan is kind of like, oh, well, excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't know what the deal is here. And so he keeps fishing. Well, the guy next to him just keeps pulling up fish. So finally he turns to the guy again. He's like, I'm sorry. I hate to keep harassing you, but what's the secret here? What are you doing that's causing all these fish to just gravitate to the worms there? And the guy goes, The Texan's like, I don't understand what you're saying. So the guy from the north goes, you got to keep the worms warm. Need a laugh track for that horrible joke. But anyways, hey, I want to talk to you today in line with our new Canvas concept, the series that we're in, about sketching out a vision for your future. You know, a lot of artists, if you look at the work they do before they start it, they actually take a pencil, or in the old days, I think they used to take charcoal, and they would sketch out on the canvas kind of where the painting is going. And I really believe that we as Christians are called to do that. You know, there's a verse, Proverbs 29:18, super famous if you've hung out in church at any point for a little while, especially around the start of the year, or if you've hung around with me for any amount of time. The verse says, where there is no vision, the people cast off or dwell without restraint. What that simply means is if you don't have an idea of where you're trying to go, you're just going to take anything. I use it as a backpack analogy. If you don't know where you're going, you are just going to throw anything in your bag. If you're going to Costa Rica, though, you don't need a parka. If you're going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, you don't need flip-flops. You don't need shorts. So you always want to, based on where you go, you know what to put in your backpack. And one of the most important things you can do is get a vision for what the future could look like. Now, here's what I know about everybody watching this. There's two kinds of people here. They can be divided into the planners and the not-so-planners, right? I'm a planner. I'm the guy that when I go to the grocery store, I've got a list. In fact, I think I have a list in my back pocket right now of things I need to cover in this talk, right? So I make a list for everything, and sometimes I forget stuff on the list, but the list is super helpful for me. My wife, on the other hand, she's not much of a list person. She's starting to do it a little bit more, but she just kind of likes to go with the spirit of things. The thing about that is sometimes she forgets stuff, right? So the beautiful thing about a list is it just kind of helps us remember what we need to remember. And I think a vision serves the same purpose. It kind of keeps us on track because, you know, this life gets busy, life gets distracted. There's so many things pulling for us that if we don't have a clear North Star, something we're aiming for, a vision, we're just prone to take whatever we can. And a lot of times what I find is, you know, you can run from something in any direction, but you can only run to something in one direction. And what I find a lot of us do most of the time is we're just in perpetual flight mode. We're always running from the things that threaten us. We don't necessarily know what we want. We just know what we don't want. We say, I don't want to be poor. I knew that feeling growing up. We were poor. I don't want to be poor, right? I don't want to be insignificant. I don't want to be rejected. And so what we do is we spend our life running away from the things we fear. And that's not a vision, right? It's part of a vision, knowing what you don't want. But the bigger part is figuring out where you want to go. Now, here's what else I know about everybody watching this. You've probably had some plans in the past that got blown to pieces. The famous theologian Mike Tyson, he said, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face. We've all had plans and we got punched in the face, and it's super easy to just go, well, what's the point of even planning? Every time I plan something, it just gets blown to pieces. And this is where it's really important to understand that I believe a vision for a follower of Christ isn't saying, here's where I want to go. What it's saying is, I want to be a good steward of what I have currently, and here's where I want to take it and what I want to do with it. So it's a little bit different. It's not planning your life, because the honest truth is you can't plan your life. But what you can do is make sure that you're developing a plan for how to use what God's already given you to the best of your ability. Because make no mistake with this, the older I get, the more I realize you have already been given everything you need to do what you're called to do right now. You say, I don't think I can handle these kids. It's just driving me crazy. I'm a single mom. You've got everything you need to do what you're called to do right now. God has given you that. The same Spirit that raised Christ Jesus from the dead lives in you, and it says he will give life to your body. And you say, my body feels lifeless right now. Hey, well, maybe you're depending on your own strength rather than his. You're called to build a business, and you say, I got into this because I like the work, but the business side of it's killing me. You've been given everything you need to do what you've been called to do right now. God has already placed people in your path to help. You just need to leverage and use what God has already given you. So the key is this: when you're planning for your future, is you say, God, I feel like this is what is going to honor you in the future. I leave my plans loose. I think it was Elizabeth Elliot. She said, hold everything in your hands loosely. Otherwise it hurts when God rips it away. And so many times we get so upset at God because he doesn't follow our plans. But as followers of Christ, he's the one that makes the plan. And our job is to be a good steward. There's this famous parable, you probably read it or heard about it before, where this master, he takes off and he leaves each of 3 servants with a certain amount of talents, where the money, it applies here to money, but I also think it applies to anything, including your talents, your time, your money, your energy. Those are your 3 greatest assets. And as he leaves, when he comes back, one of them has doubled his money, the other has doubled his money, and the other one, he took the money because he said, I was afraid, and he buried the talent, and he came back and he gave it to his master, the exact amount that was given to him. And the master gets furious with him. And I think what this parable is saying is that breaking even isn't enough in God's kingdom. When he's given you something, he expects you to do something with it. And when you do something with it, faith apart from works is dead, right? Your faith is revealed in what you do with what he's given you. So as you move forward, God begins to give you more. And I believe he empowers you to do even greater things. But it starts with taking that first step and being a good steward. So I want to look today specifically at a way to develop a stewardship plan for every area of your life. And the way I used to do this in coaching is I found there's about 5 domains of life. There's family, there's finances, there's career, there's ministry or serving others, and then there's personal goals. So there's these 5 areas. And what I would do with my coaching clients is I would say, based on what you have right now, evaluate where you are right now. What would you like to see God do in each of those 5 areas of your life? Where are you right now in your family? What are the obstacles you're facing? What are the relational challenges you're facing? In your finances, what are the obstacles? I had a girl one time, I said, what's your financial situation? She's like, I'm in a lot of debt. I said, well, how much debt? And she goes, I don't even want to know. I was like, listen, you need to figure out how much debt you have so that we know what we're trying to conquer here. You got to figure out the mountain you're trying to conquer. Maybe in your career, you're at a dead-end job. You're saying, I got more in me than this. I don't know what to do. Where are you right now? You got to get really honest about it. And that hurts sometimes to get honest about where you are. You write it out. And what I encourage people to do is I say, take a black pen and start writing out, where are you right now? What's the honest truth about your situation? And then evaluate 1 year from now, what would you like to see change? Now, here's one of the challenges. Okay, we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we tend to underestimate what we can do in 3 to 5 years. So sometimes we make 1 year plans and we go, yeah, I'm going to have this done in a year. But really, it's maybe a 3 to 5 year plan. So you've got to be flexible on your timelines on those. But figure out, where are you right now? What are the obstacles you're facing? And how do you get to where you want to go? So the vision map concept that I wrote a little book called Vision Map. It's super simple. The concept is this. You write out in black the things you can do, and then you write out in red the things only God can do. Because what's invariably going to happen as you're pursuing this, sketching out this dream for your future, you're going to come to something that you can't do on your own. And I believe God intentionally allows situations in our life that seem impossible. We talked about this last week. He allows impossible situations so that when he does the impossible, we go, that was all him. But what we have to do is we work as if it depends on us and pray as if it depends on God. Irenaeus said that many, many centuries ago. You work as if it depends on you, do what you can do, and then you trust God to do what only he can do as you're being faithful with what you're called to do. So I want to encourage you, look at every area of your life. Where are you at in your family? What are the challenges you're facing? I had a guy in my coaching program, and he realized that his relationship with his daughter was not where it should be. And he said, I don't know where to start. And I said, well, what could you do to change things? And he said, well, I can't change her heart. I said, okay, but what could you do to start things? And his first black letter thing he wrote across the top of the page, I want to change the relationship with my daughter and get closer to her. The first thing he realizes, when I come home from work, I flip on the TV and I check out. And he goes, I need to stop doing that. I need to be more engaged with her, ask how she's doing. So that was his small step. And then I said, you do that. You write the goal and then you put a deadline on it. Now, eventually he came to something where he's like, I can't change her heart, but God can work in people's hearts. And that was his goal, was that her heart would change. But he started doing what he could do, and then he trusted God to do what only God could do. We do this in every area of our life: family, finances, career, ministry or serving, and personal goals. And I think all of those are key elements to a full, complete, holistic vision of life. If you're not serving in some way, doing ministry in some way, you're just not going to find the fulfillment you're fully looking for. At some point, we have to be serving and giving out to others. And so that's a key thing. How are you going to use the time that you have to serve others? And then personal goals. I think it's really important to establish some simple personal goals for yourself. Maybe you want to run a marathon or do a triathlon. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but some people like that stuff. I don't. What are some personal goals you've got for yourself? This isn't so you can tyrannize yourself with, I haven't met my goals, but it's simply a reminder, a way to remind yourself of where you're trying to go to. Obviously, being flexible. If the Lord throws a curveball, that's fine. You go with that. But it's a direction. I have a friend in the military. He said, no plan. He's like, we always have to have a plan, but no plan survives first contact with the enemy. You go in with a plan, and then you just get ready. You're going to have to change it a little bit with life circumstances. He's in the Marines, and so he says the motto is Semper Gumby. Gumby was that old character back in the 70s and 80s. He was this very stretchable, flexible character. Semper Gumby with your plans. And as you do that, you're going to find that I found over and over again that when you actually start getting intentional about where you're going, writing out the vision, making it plain, there's this famous verse in Habakkuk 2, and I think we've all probably heard it. It says this. It says, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so that he may run who reads it. For still the vision waits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. And I think this is fascinating because as visionaries, people who have a vision, we want it now. We live in an instant culture, but some of the most important things that we'll do in life are a slow build that require roots and then strength. And we get impatient. In fact, Habakkuk, the first chapter of Habakkuk, starts off this. It says, oh Lord, how long shall I cry for help and you will not hear? Maybe you're in that situation today where you're going, Lord, my daughter, my son, I've been calling out for you to help them. Lord, this job, I've been calling out for you to help me with this job. I need a new job, and it's taking a long time. And this is where having a vision for your future is so powerful. Because what it's doing is it's reminding you in the waiting time, in the meantime, which my dad always says, the meantime can be a mean time. It's so easy to lose hope. It's so easy to lose perspective. It's so easy to give up thinking, it'll never get better than this. But when you stay focused and you've got that vision for the future, you've got a North Star that you're moving towards. And even if you're taking small, tiny steps, it helps you remember, what are we doing here? What am I going for? Why am I getting up in the morning and doing this? And where you put your vision, the vision for your future may be so far from your current reality, but I want to encourage you, take the small steps. One of the things I tell people all the time when I'm hiking is you can get to the top of any mountain with a secret hiking tip. And the secret hiking tip is this. You take your right foot, you put it in front of your left foot. Take a little break, take your left foot, put it in front of your right foot. Take a little break. That's called the rest step. But as you're taking one step at a time, it doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you don't stop. God has a vision for you, and I believe that our job is to really make a plan for how we're going to be good stewards. Again, you can't plan your life, but you can make a plan for how you're going to do the best you can with every area of your life. So I want to encourage you, take a minute, maybe sit down if you're sitting there with your spouse, sit down and say, what's the reality of where our family is? What are some obstacles we're facing? What are some things that look impossible? Maybe some red letter things. You go, man, I don't know how we're going to resolve this, but you write that down in red, and that becomes your prayer focus. In your finances, man, you got a mountain of debt hanging over you. Maybe the first step is to just look at how much debt it is and evaluate it. And then you go, wow, that's a red letter thing. There's no way at our current income we can pay that off, right? Maybe it's the small steps you just need. One of the things we call a vision for your finances is what we call a budget, which I realize that's kind of a curse word for some people. I go, oh, budget, that cramps my style, right? In your career, where are you at in your career? Where would you like to go? Your ministry, if you're not serving in ministry, I want to encourage you. Maybe you need to get involved in serving in ministry in some way. That fulfillment you're looking for is going to be found there as you're engaged with the community and the body of Christ. And then finally, your personal goals. What are some personal goals you'd like to set? Is it, say, I'd like to travel outside the country this year. I'd like to do a trip to here. I'd like to take the family to Disney World, something like that. What are those? And as you map those out, what's a realistic time frame for them? And then start moving towards them. And here's what I've seen over and over again. I don't understand how it all works, but something gets activated when we're serious about this. I believe that God says I think God's just saying, are you serious enough about this to write it out and stay focused on it? Because when you write it out, it's a scary thing because it means you're going to be held accountable to something. You go, I'm going to have to do this. As you write it out and you move towards it, it does not surprise me when I hear over and over again that the Lord begins to breathe in your direction and He opens up those sails and launches you further, faster than you could ever imagine, simply because you got serious about sketching out a real vision for the future. So that's my prayer for you. As you're sitting here trying to stay warm, this is a great time to slow down for a second, look at every area of your life, family, finances, career, ministry or serving, and personal goals, and figure out what are some obstacles I face, where am I right now, where would I like to be in a year from now, where would I like to be 3 years from now, and it's not a plan for the future. It's simply you figuring out how am I going to do the best I can with what I have right now, knowing that God has given you everything you need to do what you've been called to do right now. And as you use what He's given you, it says to whom it's given, much more will be given if you use it. But He says if you don't use it, if you don't use it properly, what has been given to you, even that will be taken away from you. So this is the goal. We want to make sure we're not just breaking even. We want to make sure we're taking what God's given us, sketching out a plan, doing the best we can, and trusting God's going to be the one who expands it. That's my prayer for you. And I believe that this year could be the greatest year of your life. And no doubt it's going to come with challenges. Often God propels us forward through those challenges. But as you get serious and sketch out a vision on that canvas of where you'd like to go, trusting God to lead you, trusting God to guide you, spend some time praying. Say, God, where do you want us to go? I believe God is going to take you further than you could ever imagine. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn that shines brighter and brighter and brighter. And no matter how dark it may feel to you right now, trust me, if you're walking with Christ, He's got bright things ahead for you. If it's not bright yet, He's not done. He's got a plan for you and a future. You just get serious about working as if it depends on you and praying as if it depends on God. And I believe that God's going to do exceedingly abundantly, far above all you could ever ask or think, according to His power at work within you. I pray you guys receive that. Stay warm. We will see you next week.